All right, man. Why don't you start with your name, your age, and the accolades that you've achieved?
Yeah, so Zachary Bunnell, 35 now, years young. Um, and I guess, I don't, I'd have to sit and think, but I won 4 amateur titles, 2 of them in MMA, 2 in Muay Thai. The bigger one was probably the IKF, international Muay Thai champion as an amateur, but ain't no motherfucker flying out here from Russia as an amateur to fight me. You know what I mean? So that was cool. That was a big deal. I think the title international gets thrown on a lot of stuff that, it's whatever. But I mean, it was what it was. It was a tough fight that I had to fight to get it. So that was cool. Got a bronze medal in the IFMA World Games. And then, but again, that was at B class. That wasn't A class. So that's still cool, though.
Absolutely.
I actually did have to fight a cat from Russia, ironically. So that was cool. That was over in Sweden. And then, and then the triumphant, which is a world title. You know what I mean? At that point, you can come from anywhere around the planet and fight me for that title. So that one was cool. Cool winning a professional title. I mean, outside of that, just fights on the in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's up, Jay?
In a general sense, how many fights do you think you've had from your amateur and pro career?
Yeah, I've sat and thought about it before. It's in the 40s, I think, maybe closer to 50 nowadays. Somewhere around there. But I've never really been one to keep track of my record or I know it's winning, but
That's what counts. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, in my personal opinion. An old teammate of mine said something to me a long time ago that's always stuck with me. And it was just this old saying, records are for DJs, man.
100%.
And so I've never really been one to, ever since then, and I was a kid when he said that to me, I've never cared to keep track of my record or think about it too much or put too much weight or value into it. So I don't really I don't even keep up with my own record.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Do you think that having that mentality has like made you as successful as you are?
No.
No.
It's just a mentality, man. I mean, there's cats that I know that are really fucking good that
Count their wins and losses.
track their fucking smoker fights and watch every video of everything they've ever done. So it's just a perspective, you know what I mean? It's just mine.
That's awesome. So you were talking about when you were a kid. When did you start, and like who's your first coach and inspiration behind, why Muay Thai and why MMA?
Yeah. I mean, I started jiu-jitsu when I was turning 17, and the only reason I started at the jiu-jitsu gym, well, not the only reason, but a big reason that I started at the jiu-jitsu gym that I started at with Gary Great here in town.
Sure.
Was there was a couple options of gyms to choose from, not as many as there is now, you know what I mean, as a sport, which is cool. I mean, it's a good sign. The sport grows in your area. There's going to be more places that pop up, and that's cool. It's good to see. It means it's a thriving sport, and there's a lot of interest in the area for it, so it's good. It's a good thing. But I started there. There wasn't too many gyms to choose from, and I knew jiu-jitsu was legit at the time. UFC was exploding. Everybody in the UFC was jiu-jitsu. I was personally interested in Muay Thai because, as a kid, they used to show Friday night fights on ESPN. And I grew up watching boxing, Tyson pay-per-views and that kind of stuff. But I also grew up watching a lot of old martial arts movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Grew up watching Bruce Lee movies. My biggest inspiration for wanting to learn how to fight and whatnot was Jackie Chan, watching Jackie Chan movies. I love Jackie Chan movies. Jet Li, all them around the same time. So that just sparked my interest in fighting in general. And then watching a lot of just cartoons that were based around fighting, superhero shit.
Yep, that was me,
Dragon
for
Ball.
sure.
Dragon Ball Z was a massive inspiration of mine as a kid growing up. And so, anywho, fast forward to the age of 10, and even earlier than that, when I was a kid, around 8 or 9, me and my homie would play Street Fighter all the time, and my character was Sagat. And they had a booklet that explained the martial art that each character on the show, in the video game had, and his background was Muay Thai. Well, fast forward, like I said, like a year or two, I was watching Friday Night Fights on ESPN, and they used to show K1 fights on ESPN from Japan, and homie won his fight, and it flashed his background, and his background was Muay Thai, and I was like, oh shit, man, like that's the same thing Sagat does, like, damn, that's actually legit. And he had clean ass boxing, and he head kicked this fool the fuck out. Michael McDonald was his name, dude from Canada, and I was like, fuck, bro, I want to look like that when I fight. That's sick. And so then Muay Thai always stayed on my mind, and so again, fast forward to when I was 16, 17. Just getting into training. Well, at the jiu-jitsu gym, they offered one night a week of Muay Thai, and it wasn't Muay Thai. It was basically just sparring. Everybody sparring. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We'd practice a couple moves, but the thing that people need to understand is America was kind of, how do I put this without, like, I don't know. I don't want anybody to get mad, but America was taken advantage of. In my personal opinion, via our ignorance and thinking that we're the greatest and the greatest country on the planet. We're America. Okay, cool. Well, again, taken advantage of, we were, but I would have done it too by the Thais who didn't have a lot of money, but definitely knew what the fuck they were doing.
Sure.
And so they came over here and they ran a bunch of fucking goofballs through 2-week crew courses that taught them how to do Muay Thai. And there were just a bunch of cats that came from Taekwondo and karate and shit. And they thought over this few-week course, because I've been doing martial arts my whole life, I can understand Muay Thai in a couple weeks. Like, all right, cool, man. So you basically just ended up with a bunch of coaches who were heavily influenced by traditional martial arts and were shown some basics of how to elbow and hold Thai pads and very rudimentary stuff, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So then they kept their same idea of technique through the traditional martial arts and just added elbows to it and the clinch. And that became their interpretation and their idea for what Muay Thai was. And they called themselves a crew now instead of a sensei or a master or whatever the fuck.
Right.
You know what I mean?
A watered down version of whatever
not even necessarily watered down, just they missed the mark that the actual activity of real fighting, right, which is Muay Thai. And I'm not saying karate's not real. I'm not saying Taekwondo's not real.
Sure.
I'm not saying cats can't get knocked the fuck out with spinning heel kicks and kicks to the body, side kicks and shit. And yeah, for sure. No, that shit hits hard, man. I'm not saying Kyokushin karate isn't legit as fuck. Not at all. It definitely is when you're looking over to Japan and the traditional ways it's done, hard body training. And no, man. Muay Thai is just different. It's a lot more realistic in terms of just a person fighting another person with the most minimal rule set you could possibly imagine. You know what I mean? I know there's a lot of rules that go into Muay Thai, but there's a lot more rules that go into Taekwondo. There's a lot more rules that go into a karate match. There's a lot more rules that go into these offshoot martial arts that, you can't do shit that, you have to do it this way. All right, well, Muay Thai doesn't say that.
Yeah.
That's where there, and people got to understand that Muay Thai is a game. It's a rule set.
Yeah.
It's not you have to do things this way. It's now heavily influenced by everything. So go watch 1FC, right? There's cats knocking fools out with spinning heel kicks. There's cats knocking fools out with technique that wouldn't necessarily be traditional to Muay Thai in a sense. But it's just Muay Thai is very capable of taking things that work from other martial arts and implementing them into Muay Thai. Because Muay Thai isn't, it's a rule set that just says the only thing I can't do is bite you and headbutt you and kick you in the dick, right? Outside of that, If we end up on the ground, we stand back up and we keep strike fighting. You know what I mean? We keep the fighting in the realm of striking. But the grapple is a heavy influence in Muay Thai. And so there's so many things in Muay Thai at the same time that they're going to be influenced by Western boxing, there's techniques from karate, from taekwondo, from everywhere that have found their way into Muay Thai, because Muay Thai is a freeing rule set that allows me to throw the majority of my body around my bones. I can throw a lot of my bones around. Outside of my forehead, I can make any bone in my body a weapon. I can hit you with my forearm.
Yeah, I remember I got my ass kicked super young. I came in with a black eye. I don't know if you remember, but I remember what you said. I came in with a black eye. I kind of just walked past everyone because, you know, it's not really a fun thing to show off. But you're like, it was a street fight, man. There's no rules.
Yeah.
And I really started thinking on that. What's the main challenges you face, like being a father and fighter here in Reno?
I mean, I don't know, man. I've never really noticed any challenges from being a father. You know what I mean? And that translating to it affecting my game in any way, shape, or form. I think the biggest obstacles that I faced are just a lack of, I don't want to say support, because I have a lot of support from my family and whatnot, and I know there's a lot of people out there that support me, but
Absolutely, man.
There's a big, you need, especially the level that I started getting to and that I was taking stuff to, it was very important to have a manager.
Absolutely.
Right? It became very important that I had training partners that were at the level that I was, and I didn't, you know what I mean? And my game, just things in general, started to suffer from the fact that, yo, what's up, Isaac? How's it going, dog? Go ahead, jump in, just start getting warmed up. Once you get to a certain level of competition, and you don't have the bodies around you, the support systems that help in training, that help get you sponsors, that help get you fights and line fights up for you, and it's just me getting hit up by promoters, just saying yes to shit. It's just me training in a room full of amateurs and or brand newbies that don't have any idea what they're doing, have no idea what they're doing, that I can't hit, I can't spar with, I can't hurt. Not that I'm trying to hurt my training partners in a professional setting, but I can just be there's a lot more freedom to do what I can do and not need to worry about hurting people. Not needing to worry about hurting people's feelings, not needing to worry about emotionally affecting people and turning them off of the sport and turning them away from training with me. So that was the biggest juggling act. I mean, even this last fight that I got ready for, I have clientele. That's why I have clientele fall off. It gets tricky to get ready for fights, because when I start having to train for real and doing things for real, it affects the room that I'm in. And it makes it difficult to run a business in a small town that's not very intellectual in terms of the idea of Muay Thai and how far it can take somebody and the realities of it. I'm training with a bunch of people that think they have an idea of how it works and what they're doing, and when they actually have to stand in front of somebody, just kind of telling them like, no, man, that's wrong, that's bullshit, whatever you're doing is stupid, that's retarded, what the fuck is that, man? You know, you got to do stuff different. It really starts to turn people off. And again, I can take some credit for that too, you know what I mean? I can be softer with individuals, but when I have people coming in that tell me they want to compete, you know what I mean? If words are going to hurt you that bad and they're going to affect your ability to find your way and navigate yourself through the sport, sorry, bro, but catching an elbow in front of your friends and family, you know what I mean? And
probably not your route.
That's gonna affect you heavily. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, my words hurt, bro, but elbows hurt a lot more.
Yeah, that's well said, man. How did being removed from multiple gyms affect your early development as a fighter? Did it make you tougher? Was it a setback, or both, as you were talking about, you know, being straightforward, man, you know?
Oh, yeah, and you had asked me who my original coach was, you know what I mean? And my original coach, like I said, in grappling and jiu-jitsu, and even Muay Thai in a sense, was Gary at Gary's gym. But there was a lot of people that came through Gary's gym boxers. It was just kind of a hot sparring night on Tuesday nights at Gary's. So boxers would come in, people with Taekwondo backgrounds and that kind of stuff. So I would start to take influence from them. But then we got a Muay Thai coach that came up here, Casey Balkenbush. And he came up here from Vegas. And so he really turned me on to just kind of what Muay Thai really was. I knew that what I was doing at Gary's wasn't actually Muay Thai.
Sure.
I'd seen enough of it myself to know, but he turned me toward a direction. That's one thing I'll always have to give him credit for, of what Muay Thai actually should have looked like, and toward people that are still in my life to this day that influenced me heavily.
Yeah.
Again, hit me with that question again.
So, how did being removed from multiple gyms affect
how did being removed from gyms?
Your development as a fighter, tougher, setback, both?
As a fighter, I mean, I still excelled more than anybody, so I don't want to say that it really
That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't want to say that it really set me back. I mean, it probably did. But I think what set me back more than anything was being in an environment where what I had to offer wasn't appreciated.
Sure.
And so if I would have been in Thailand, I would have been appreciated. If I would have been in some gyms in California, what I had to offer would have been appreciated. Yeah. If I would have been in quite a few other places, there's a lot of places I could name. Yeah,
exactly.
I would have been appreciated. But I wasn't. I was demonized here in this area, just because, again, there wasn't really any, outside of maybe one or two people, there weren't anybody reaching for the levels that I was trying to reach for. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't even really understand the level of where I was trying to reach to. Yeah. Everything to this point, basically what I've amassed is a resume, right? And the resume has gotten me ready to coach and have people come in and be confident in what I have to say and my product, because they can easily point, well, this motherfucker has actually done it with real names and at high levels and better than anybody in the area. So
the highest level.
Yeah, so that's where, stepping back in hindsight, I took this a lot further than I ever even imagined when I very first started. Because when I very first started, I had zero intention of actually being a fighter or even fighting. I just wanted to do it because it was something I was extremely interested in as a kid, and I wanted to say that I was competent in being able to describe it, explain it, do it, but I didn't actually want to become a fighter. I had no intentions of doing that. You know what I mean? It just kind of ended up happening. Yeah. And once it started happening, I just never stopped it.
Yeah.
So I just kept doing it.
It's crazy. A lot of people don't know. I would have never gotten started if you didn't watch me and my brother in the after school program.
Yeah. Yep.
So you've influenced a lot of people, man, and still do.
Yeah, man. No, thank you, dude.
And you totally deserve the credit for that. So thank you. With everything that you said, do you think that your reputation's fair? Do you feel misunderstood?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel misunderstood, but I think my reputation's fair.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't understand me, who have no idea what's on my mind. And like, harking back to the other question of how did it affect me being kicked out of other gyms, it was extremely frustrating, especially in rooms and settings and situations where I thought this whole room
appreciated, supported you, and
and
it's
were
not
my
this
friends, and were understanding of where I was coming from. And it turns out behind my back, everybody was not on that page. You know what I mean? Was not on the same page as me. And honestly, a situation where ignorance was bliss. You know what I mean? I was and I mean there were times in the original gym that I came from where I wasn't happy. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know. I was too young to understand that my unhappiness was affecting how I presented myself to the room. Yeah. And then in turn, I didn't really understand that nobody understood where I was coming from. And so that, I mean, it goes both ways, man. You can't ever find yourself in a situation and not look back at it and be like, okay, well, how did I contribute to the situation I found myself in? So in hindsight, growing up, you know what I mean? You think about that kind of stuff, you figure it out. But it affected me tremendously, you know what I mean? Figuring out, fuck, man, this whole room. And again, the way I looked at it at the time was like, man, this whole room's a fucking room full of snakes.
Yeah.
You know, is how I looked at it, man.
Sure.
None of you fools have my fucking back. You are all talking shit about me behind my back. You are all fucking Judasing my ass behind my back, man, stabbing me in the fucking back.
Yeah.
But in all actuality, I understand that it was probably an intimidating idea to approach me and be like, hey, Zach, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Right. But what made me mad about it is they didn't understand at the time that they could have done that.
Exactly. Yeah. And you would have sat down and listened.
Yeah.
To whatever degree, you know.
So like I said, it goes both ways because I didn't present myself in a way that made people feel comfortable.
Right.
To bring a problem to me.
Yeah.
So because no problem got brought to me, I didn't think there was a problem. And then when I found out, holy shit, everybody's got a problem. Like,
well said, man. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. All right. Well, fuck you all then.
Yeah.
And so for a long time, I did carry that frustration. I did carry that anger, and it did affect me. You know what I mean? I can't really say how. Maybe positively. You know.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, probably both. You know, frustration and fueled me in some way, shape, or form, and made me want to, you know, stick the middle finger up to everybody and show them, fuck you. This
exactly.
is why'd you have me leave the room?
Yeah.
You should have known that I was going to take this further than anybody, and fucking eggs in your face now, you know, so that did drive me. But man, it would have been so cool if I had a support system around me that was a room full of people that were interested in the sport at the same time as me, that wanted to grow with me, you know what I mean? And again, I understand that too. At the time, it was hard to grow around me because I was so aggressive, you know, and I was dangerous to train with.
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
I didn't have anybody showing me why I was dangerous to train with. I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Dude, you guys keep telling me I'm going hard, but I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't know what you mean.
You're doing your sport. You're doing what you think you're supposed to.
And not even that, but I physically, I did not show me what you mean. I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do not, you need to show me why I'm going hard. And over time, I've been able to teach myself why I was going hard. Physically, I've been able to show myself, oh, dude, just stop doing that. Or you're going hard because of this, and this. You're adding too much tension to this motion that doesn't need to be there. Your footwork is doing this, and your actions are reflecting in a negative way. And so I didn't have anybody sitting there because I got students in here that go hard as fuck, but they don't mean to. They're not intending to hurt their training partners.
Right.
They're not aware of what they're doing. So what I have to do is I have to take people, I have to isolate them into a position where they can't go hard.
Yeah.
Right. I have to take their technique and I have to explain it to them in a way that this is why your technique is translating into hard sparring. Because you're out of control. So you need to get your shit under control more.
Yeah.
And you can temper your sparring. Now you can spar with the whole room. You don't have to worry about people hating working with you because you're always that dude that goes hard.
Yeah.
And it's easier to do nowadays because I understand it. Back then I didn't understand what the fuck I was doing, so I would end up with a room full of people that thought I was just fucking mean and angry. And no, I don't even know what I'm doing, dude. I didn't even know what I was doing. My bad, dog.
Yeah. Well, when I came back from Thailand not too recently, it's not like I'm, know it all or anything, but a lot of stuff that, you've been through and said, I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, well, it seems like Zach was right, So thank you. And the fact that you're here and you're talking, there's going to be other people all across the world, whoever, is going to watch this, they're going to take some validity to it, and hopefully it'll help them, What was a turning point, because for you, where you realized that you could compete at a elite level, fighting, you fought, gosh, who's that tough dude out of Texas?
Pete.
Steve, right? Steven, that you fought last year for the WBC?
Pete.
Okay.
Sinonic. No, he was just in my corner for my last fight. So.
Okay.
No, I still keep up with Pete. Me and Pete talk all the time, man.
But getting to that level, did you ever have I could take it this far?
No, man. I don't know. I'm a person that suffers from imposter syndrome real bad. You know what I mean? Thinking that I
think a lot of people do. They just can't admit it.
Even to this day, well, I suffer from it, I suppose, a little a little more so because I actually have taken it to real high levels. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I sit and reflect in hindsight, I'm like, damn, bro, you actually fought some really tough cats. You fought people from a shitload of different countries, people way bigger than me, all kinds of stuff. But so imposter syndrome kind of hits you a little heavier when you've actually taken it to said level, because you start to realize, I don't know, man. It changes your mindset on what you've actually done and accomplished, and you start to question what you've accomplished.
Sure. And if there's any validity to it.
Yeah. Especially doing it alone.
Yeah.
With nobody sitting here to blow smoke up my ass.
Sure.
Right? So I've never had any of that. I've never had positive affirmation.
Yeah.
And I'm the one who has to affirm what I've done. Mm-hmm. Nobody else does.
Yeah.
And if anybody else does, it's just a bunch of my students. And honestly, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Sure.
So when they positively affirm me, cool, thanks, bud, but you have no fucking idea what's going on. I appreciate you. Thank you. You know what I mean? But your positive affirmation isn't the same as me looking to a coach.
Sure.
Right?
That you look up to.
That I look up to, telling me, good job. Well done, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've never had, and I guess that's one thing from being kicked out of all the gyms that I've never had, is positive affirmation from people. And again, like I said, it's not that the people around me aren't relevant, but if they tell me good job starting your business, Zach, good job. Okay, I take that to heart. But then telling me like, man, your kick's looking good, Zach. Like, yeah, cool, thanks, bro. Yours sucks, so I don't care.
Yeah.
Not that I don't care.
Doesn't mean that much, but thanks, sure, yeah.
Yeah, just, I don't know. It's just different.
Yeah.
So I haven't had much positive affirmation from on a frequent basis. And again, being removed from that positive affirmation has done wonders for me as well too. So it's not all negative. It's 50-50. There's a balance to everything. So not being in an environment where I'm just getting people's praise all the fucking time, has done wonders for me as well. So
who's a Muay Thai fighter you look up to for more of a philosophy and mentality?
I don't know if there's necessarily a Muay Thai fighter. You know, the person I've listened to the most throughout my whole career, and he is a Muay Thai fighter, is Kevin Ross. I got real close with him early on in my amateur career. Yeah. And again, that was a influence that I got introduced to and that came around me through Casey in the very beginning. And so just him, a lot of what he's had to say throughout the times, and Kevin's always been real quiet and doesn't say much, you know what I mean?
Very stoic guy, yeah.
And so when I'd be around him and he would have something to say to me at the very beginning, it was, oh shit, man, Kevin's talking to me. Holy fuck, dude, like he hardly ever talked. Yeah. You know, and then so anyway, he was a big influence, but I don't know, man. I don't really know. There's not necessarily a person I could point to, or it's like, oh, his philosophical take on the sport.
If anyone, it would be Kevin.
Yeah. Kevin was a big one. It was more of just people in general that I would take things from, you know what I mean? Not one set person. It didn't have to be a fighter that I was listening to get influenced about the game of fighting. I could listen to a legit philosopher talk about some shit. Sure. Damn, all right, that's significant. And so, it's a saying that's thrown around all the time. People talk, it's fucking Joe Rogan says it all the fucking time. Miyamoto Musashi quote, but I read it when I was really young. It's just that if you see the way broadly, you'll see it in all things. And so you start to understand that it's not just about listening to Thai boxers or just about listening to fighters or getting your philosophy from, no, man, you need to listen to people that have mastered their craft. Anybody who's mastered their craft, again, sees the way in everything. You know what I'm saying? So I can sit here and I can explain Muay Thai to a golfer, and I can make them relate to golfing to help them to start to understand and grasp the concepts of the sport, right? I can sit here, I can talk to someone a businessman. Yeah. and just be like, all right, look, bro, well, so that mentality that has allowed you to master your craft, here's how it applies to Muay Thai, because it's the same mentality. If you want to master a craft and you want to dedicate X amount of time to it, or you don't, well, you don't have that time because you have to dedicate your time. This is an interest now. Well, let me explain this interest to you through the craft that you've mastered.
Yeah.
And so when you see the way broadly, you see it in all things. So it just helps with teaching.
Beautifully
you know what I'm
said,
saying?
man. Beautifully said. So you've trained and fought in Thailand. What's the main difference you see training in Thailand versus the States or the UK?
Yeah, well, there's too many outside distractions. Distractions, yes. What's the word I'm looking for? Too many things that you have to fucking do here.
Yeah.
Right? When you're out there, when you're in Thailand,
People are changing the wheel.
Anxiety's a good way to put it. There's a lot of anxieties here because there's so much shit I have to get done. There's so many other things that I have to focus on because they have to be done.
Yeah.
And it's why, it's why a lot of people that excel in this sport, Thailand in general, but you're seeing it in a lot of foreign countries nowadays too, Russia. What these are, they're state-sponsored countries where they basically step in and like, hey man, you don't need to have any anxieties over your living space, your food situation, your transportation, your bills, all that shit. We don't want you to worry about and have anxiety over because we want you to focus and excel at this activity. But here stateside, I have to have anxiety over those things. And there's no avoiding the anxiety over those things. And so those things take away and distract from what you could pursue purely in this activity. So because of that, that's the biggest difference. And that's the biggest difference that you're always going to come across training in Thailand and in other places as opposed to fucking having to live here and train here. So it makes it extremely difficult with outside distractions. You know what I'm saying?
Said,
and as much as people want outside distractions, watch for the fucking ladyboys in Thailand. Nah, man, that's not an outside distraction. You pursuing that, you know what I mean, and allowing that to become a distraction. Yeah. You could allow anything to become a distraction. There's motherfuckers in Thailand, man, that let video games become a distraction. You know what I mean? That let gambling. So there's distractions everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's just the difference in the anxieties that you have to face on a day-to-day basis in Thailand revolve completely around the sport. Mm-hmm. Over here, fucking life, dude, and then I can think about the sport.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest difference. You know what I mean?
Well said, man. Thank you. With your experience, what's been like your hardest and toughest opponent that you can think of off the top of your head?
Man, there's been everybody's tough. Next fight's tough. Everyone's tough. The biggest obstacle has been myself and my own mentality because I've been so isolated.
Yeah.
So me and my own self in my own head. Because of the isolation, because of the lack of people around me, that everybody that's around me is looking to me for guidance over the last 8 years of my fighting career, you know what I mean? All the way back to when I started Reno City Kickboxing and I opened that gym. Okay, cool. Well, now I got a room full of people that are looking to me for guidance.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm still commuting out to CSA at that time, one time a week, So I had guidance there, and that was cool, but I only had it one day a week. And then eventually through time, just bills, like I said, anxieties and stresses of life didn't allow me to get out to CSA anymore, and didn't allow me to fucking travel and train as much. So I was basically left to my own devices and surrounded by people that were looking to me for guidance while I'm still trying to guide myself into these positions that I've never been in before. I haven't been here. I don't even know what I'm doing, dog, and I have no one guiding me, so I got to figure out what the fuck's going on, and you're still asking me for advice, and I need to help you. Fuck. Shit. All right. So, just through that whole process taught me a lot.
Well said, man. That's beautifully said. How do you want to be remembered in Muay Thai?
I mean, yeah, what I've done, it's cool and all. You know, there's people who've done a lot more things in terms of the actual sport itself. But I want to be, I want people to understand at the end of this all, you know, that nowadays, is there competition for me to have in the future? Potentially. I mean, I got to get my injuries handled and shit like that. I'm a in the moment kind of person. I'm not someone who's gonna sit here and type up a big post about my retirement. Who cares, man? You stop when you stop. It doesn't matter. It's a you choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't got to share it with everybody. So I'm a day to day in the moment kind of person. I got to heal from my injuries. I'll see how I feel when I heal from my injuries. I really like to get on some fucking sauce, dog, and heal my body up. You know what I mean? Take some banned substances and feel good again.
Yeah.
So I honestly want to get back to a healthy me where my ankle can bend again. And that's something that I've never really touched on much either, man, is the amount of injury. Like, I got tennis elbow. I can crack my elbow whenever the fuck I want. My shoulder pops. I don't know what I did to my rotator cuff. I know my meniscus is torn. It's been torn for probably about the last 6 years. And then my ankle's just completely fucked. You know what I mean? Right now with a giant bone chip in it. So there's a lot of little fucking rinky-dink stuff that's going on with my body that's been going on with my body for a long fucking time. And I've never really wanted to make any excuses out of it. But I've gone into every single fight over the last probably 6-7 years with an injury that would put most people out of the activity. You know what I mean? And I just stayed quiet about it because even with people that were coaches at the time and stuff like that, I don't know, man. I just didn't really have much to say about it. You know what I mean? There's people that do harder shit. So
absolutely,
it just is what it is. But I've kind of come to a point now where I'm a little more focused on healing my body. And then once we cross that road, once I get done with the battle with fucking insurance companies and shit like that, trying to deny my claims.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I'll reevaluate from there. I could see myself in the ring again 100%.
Yeah.
But we'll see, man. Right now, what I want to be remembered as, and I want to be noted for being the best educator. Mm-hmm. And I tell my students this all the time. The whole reason that I'm here is so you don't need me anymore one day. And I feel like there's a lot of people that get their ego trapped up in this activity, and they think that because I've shown you the way and I started showing you what to do, I own you now.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You better never break off from my gym. No, bro. I could 100% see students of mine fucking... And again, back to the question at hand, what I'm trying to be remembered for in this activity is being able to translate this activity to people quicker than anyone.
Yeah.
Right? So, no, I don't want people to have to sit here with me for a decade for them to, I finally understand this sport. No, bro, I want to be able to do that in as minimal amount of time as possible. And that comes from my ability to proficiently translate this activity into your head. You know, it's like being a really fucking good math teacher.
Sure.
I want you to understand what the fuck it is that I'm talking about.
As fast as possible.
As quickly as I possibly can. That's optimizing efficiency.
Sure.
And if I optimize efficiency, sure, I'll make a living through it. I'm not out here to fucking knock it out the park and have a gym with thousands of students and make fucking millions. I don't give a shit, man.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that every single person that comes through here is able to leave here and say like, yo, that motherfucker, I know what's going on now. I might not be good at it because I haven't put the reps in. I haven't put the time in. But I mentally know what the fuck's going on now because that dude makes it make sense. Mm-hmm. That's all I want. I want to be noted for being able to make this completely make sense.
That's awesome.
And have people walk out of here not segregating stuff into their head, thinking, oh, that's a Muay Thai kick and that's a karate kick.
Yeah.
No, motherfucker, that's a kick with the intention to hurt you.
Right.
That's a punch with the intention to hurt you. That's an elbow with the intention to cause damage. Yeah. You know what I mean? To accomplish the task that I'm looking to do. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it's understanding what the task is. And that task is to turn my body into a weapon. I'm trying to use my skeleton as a weapon to incapacitate my target. Mm-hmm. Right? And the tools that I have at my disposal are my bones themselves. And that's what it is. I'm ultimately turning my skeleton into a weapon to beat whatever it is and to cause damage and disruption and fuck up whatever it is that's in front of me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that I'm fighting.
Well, you said something. You want to give your students something because you're not going to be around forever. And this is why I kind of started, sitting down and talking with people. I think that fighting and parenting kind of go hand in hand in one way or shape or form. How does being a father change the way you fight or train? Going into parenting and family life questions.
Yeah, and just scoot that back a little bit. You know what I mean? How fighting goes hand in hand with parenting, right? Well, again, back to what I was saying earlier. If you see the way broadly, you see it in everything. Fighting goes into everything. Everything goes into everything. So everything goes into everything. Everything is the same. Everything goes hand in hand. So that's, fighting reflects on parenting. Parenting reflects on fighting.
Perfect.
Right? So everything meshes together. You know what I'm saying? Fighting goes into how I conduct myself through my day-to-day activity. My day-to-day activity and how I conduct myself through it goes into fighting. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of, getting more into the semantics of things, fighting has heavily affected my parenting. Because fuck, man, it's a high-stress job. It's a very high-stress job. And so it allows me to translate to my kids high-stress situations and how to keep your calm through them. Relax, chill. Ain't nothing gonna hurt us right now. It's helped with parenting quite a bit in terms of, kids catch injuries, kids get hurt, and being able to kind of navigate my way through showing them how, hey, that's subcutaneous pain. Don't worry about it, you know what I mean? What you got to really watch out for is fucking heavy pain, which is
nowhere close.
From my experience, doesn't come through injury, physical harm and injury. You know what I mean? Comes through heavier shit, and so a lot of it just has to do with my ability to mitigate anxiety and stresses. You know what I'm saying, to my children. Yeah. Because I have to deal with a high-level stress environment at work, with coaching, and then coaching in general. You know what I'm saying? Coaching, teaching, helping people navigate their way through an activity that is something as extreme as Muay Thai and fighting helps you, just kind of helps you translate to kids in general, life.
It's awesome, man. What's, you said something right when we started. There was only like one or two people that helped you out as you were going up. I have an idea of who it is. Who were the people that helped you out when you were coming up?
Yeah, man. I mean, my dad and my grandma. They, my dad and my grandma helped me heavily throughout time. You know what I mean? My girl I'm with now, Kate, she's helped with quite a bit of stuff. Even my ex, you know what I mean, helping with some things. So you always got to give credit where credit's due. But
absolutely.
Kevin's helped me a lot with a lot of things. And yeah, I mean, there's been people sprinkled in throughout the journey that have helped with big things. You know what I mean? My guy right here, Jeremy, has helped me out a fucking ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been comparable to a fucking anime saga. You know what I mean? Where I've found myself in a lot of random situations and positions, and there's been a lot of people who have helped me. You know what I mean? Through these random times and interactions. So there's been a lot of people who have helped along the way, but the people who have stayed steady have been my dad and my grandma.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. What's one misconception about you that you want to add on to or clear up, per se?
I mean, it's not really misconceived that it's misconceived. I'm very misunderstood in terms of how I am and and the reasons I am the way I am. And a lot of people just don't understand that I've had to do a lot of stuff alone by myself. And and like I said, there's been no words of affirmation for me. It's been me talking to me, telling me that I could do better, telling me that, like, man, that shit looks fucking retarded. What the fuck are you doing? That's stupid. You look stupid doing that. Videotaping myself, having to teach myself the sport. I've never really had a guide for technique. And technique was the main thing that I was more curious about than anything. And I've never had anybody that was ever able to sit there and explain technique to me.
Yeah.
and it frustrated the fuck out of me. I never had anybody that was able to sit there outside of Ryan Simpson, a boxing coach that I had.
Absolutely, yeah.
Ryan was really able to help me start to understand technique and the technique of boxing, but again, it was boxing. You know what I mean? It wasn't kicking, it wasn't elbowing, it wasn't how to throw a fucking knee.
Clinching,
it wasn't,
anything,
hey, how come his knee looks like that there, but over here his knee looks like this? I wasn't able to have anybody that could answer the intricate questions for me that I was looking for the answers, you know what I mean, with. And so I'd start figuring out those answers on my own.
Yeah.
And the only way I could figure those answers out was to talk to myself in terms of reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to give myself reality. I had to be able to face reality in order to answer these questions of why my technique, why the fuck don't I look like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You keep telling me that I'm looking good, but I don't look like that, and I want to look like that. Why don't I look like that?
Yeah.
Right? And so I had to figure out why I didn't look like that. You know what I mean? And so that was one of the biggest frustrations for a long, long time. And a big reason I started to steer myself into my own kind of isolated position, because I was starting to figure out, man, these motherfuckers can't answer these questions for me.
Yeah.
I got to figure out how to answer them.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my frustration, and again, so that became a barrier for me against everybody. That wasn't a good thing. You know, I should have been able to communicate that a little bit better, but I just couldn't, man. I was young. I just didn't know how to communicate what it was that was on my mind. And so that led to a lot of frustrations that built up barriers between me and other people.
Yeah.
And so I have to take fault for that. But at the same time, I take credit for my ability to figure out what it was that I was trying to answer.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I just have a couple more here. If you could go back.
Hey, Jay, Colin, can you guys go just hit in the back room real quick, just so there's not loud pad noise right here?
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Chief.
If you could go back and train under any coach, past, present, future, whatever, who would it be and why?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I probably don't even know his name, to be honest with you. What I figured out, you know, is the cats that like that shit has come to differently. You know what I mean? There's people who grasp concepts and can't translate them. Mm-hmm. So you can't. Again, Michael Jordan, right? Is he a good coach? No. Not that I know of, not that I've heard, you know what I mean? Maybe for certain people, and again, that's why I'm trying to find a way to translate this sport to everybody. Not just people who can resonate with the way I'm breaking it down.
Sure.
But I'm trying to explain this sport to everybody. Because there's people who interpret things different ways, right? There's people who have different opinions, there's people who have different ways of viewing things. So I'm trying to cut through all that and make this translatable to every one of those people without having, or at least just finding a way to make it make sense to them. Mm-hmm. Because you perceive stuff. People learn different ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Visually, through sight, hearing. You know what I mean? That need to actually. Someone to grab their body and do it for them. Like,
unfortunately, I'm one of them.
Yeah,
you gotta show me what I'm doing wrong, and then.
And so, trying to find a way to translate it doesn't. It's my ability to attempt to do that. You know what I mean? And progressing myself toward that direction has come from the conflict I've faced with having to figure this shit out myself. So, sure, I could say Trainer Gay. I could say. I want to learn from Samart. I want to learn from Sanchai. Cool, man. Yeah, that'd be an awesome experience to be in the room with those guys and meet them and stuff like that. But I can't tell you. I don't know. And I'm also not talking shit about their coaching style.
Right.
They've produced very great fighters and very awesome people. They obviously have a very, very deep, intimate understanding of this sport and techniques and moves that I don't know. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I can't tell you that I'm going to be in a room with them and what they're going to, and the way they coach and the way they teach. I don't know. You know what I mean? As opposed to, man, maybe there's just some random dude at this little rinky-dink gym that speaks my language. You know what I'm saying? That there's great trainers out there that don't have a big, fancy, flashy record, that don't, I don't know, that have really had to grind and teach themselves a lot of things and put themselves in uncomfortable positions completely by themselves. So I guess I would be looking for somebody that's similar to me, someone that's had to really fucking, like, no, man, I had to figure it out on my own, right? And so again, now having said that too, you know, it's also important to me to find somebody that does actually have experience behind what it is that they're talking about.
Double-edged sword, right?
Yeah. Just for me and how far I've gone in this sport, I don't think I could have done this, or I don't think I could hear from anybody and want to be coached by someone who hasn't also put experience behind the action.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And now, again, that's not saying that someone needs to have bunches of fights. Like, no. Experience can come through being in rooms with very, very high IQ people in the activity it is that they're doing. It doesn't mean that you need to go out there and have fought in Lumpini Stadium and Raja and 1FC and fought at the highest levels of the sport and fought in K1 and, you know, whatever. No. I'm not saying that, man. But if you're not going to go through that route of things, of actually of testing your mettle in those settings and situations, then man, you better have put a lot of fucking hours into being in the room with those people that actually have tested their mettle and the bodies that have, and I'm talking like double the amount of time, because you didn't put yourself through the experience of it. So it doesn't mean that you can't still become a good coach. You know what I mean? Not every good coach in the NFL and the NBA was a fucking all-star in the activity in the sport at any point in time. Like, no, they've gone through a lot of adversity in the activity, been around people who have gone through a lot of adversity, and now they can translate, you know what I mean, the activity to other people at a very high level. So it's not necessarily there's a person that I would look to. I mean, shit, man, if we're going to go down that route, bro, I wish I would have been fucking on Customados' property, isolated as a 13-year-old child, you know what I mean, getting indoctrinated by someone to be a stone-cold killer.
Oh.
That would have been a totally different experience that I didn't go through, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well said. You answered this question, you know, when your fighting career is over, what's next for you? You're crossing the bridge of injuries and getting, you know, the insurance, you know, companies.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows, bro? There's cats that fight into their 40s nowadays.
Exactly.
Like I said, I got to take stuff day to day.
Yeah.
We'll see where every day takes me.
And you'll be coaching for the rest of your life. You know?
So the sport's never going anywhere.
Yeah.
The sport's here and it's growing, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And the sport translates to other sports too, MMA, you know what I mean, other activities. So no matter what, I'm going to be in the industry of fighting. At least I plan on being in the industry of fighting for, you know, the rest of my existence, hopefully. Yeah. It's one of those things as a coach, bro, I could be walking around this room or whatever room I'm in when I'm fucking 90. You know what I mean? So that looks like shit. That's stupid. Yeah. You're fucking retarded. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's something that never goes away. Once you start to understand and fully grasp the ideas and the concepts and the techniques and the movement behind them and the strategy and the game, it never leaves your head. Yeah. It's there forever. Yeah. So
you see it in everything. You can
keep that ball rolling and challenge what you know at all times, or you can just accept what you know and think that you know everything, and you know what I mean. And still, I mean, it's still with you forever.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah, like too many people, unfortunately. To close out this last 45 hour, what would Zach be doing for work if you didn't start Muay Thai?
I mean, what I was going to school for. I was going to school to be an elementary education teacher.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and so I'd be teaching. You know what I mean? I'd be teaching kids in a different format. So the most important thing to me is making sure that, like I said, the whole reason I'm here is so these people don't need me anymore one day. Yeah. Maybe can go open their own gym one day. And I hope that's my goal is, I want students that can leave and go make a living out of the activity that I translated to them. Yeah. Right? Now, that's my own ego if I want to get mad
Sure.
that they go and start their own school.
Sure.
Someone wants to go pop up a gym right across the street. Cool, man. I hope you do so. And I hope we still have a good relationship.
Yeah.
Because as long as we have a good relationship and more gyms are popping up, the community's growing, everyone's going to prosper. I'm not a greedy person. Like I said, I don't need a gym with fucking all the students coming to see me. I don't fucking care, man. Go see whoever you're comfortable with seeing. I can promise you that I'll translate this activity and the reality of it better than anybody else will here in town. But if you get to the point where your interest spikes so much, you know what I mean, because you started it at another gym that you want to come see me and still go back to your home base, cool, go ahead, man. But I'm here. I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah.
And I know that what I'm saying is truth. And so, yeah, man, whatever, dude. I just want the community to grow. You know what I'm saying? Everybody will find their own way through it. I just want to find a living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And yeah, what was the question originally? Fuck, man.
What would Zach be doing? If,
Oh yeah, what would
I'd
be teaching. I'd still be teaching.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome, man. Real quick, just one that pops up on my head. What's one of your most successful students that you can think of? Either past that stopped doing the sport or that's continuing.
Yeah,
whichever.
I mean, look, I wouldn't call him my student, but he started with me, man, and me and him were training with each other every day, and that's Willie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, I know way back when we very first started, there was a lot of stuff I showed him and hopefully ways I've influenced him. And then over time, him growing through the sport, moving to Thailand, a lot of ways, a lot of things he's shown me and influenced me, you know what I'm saying? But Willie for sure.
Both you guys are huge carriers of Muay Thai out of Reno, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And even globally, man.
Yeah, somehow, you know what I'm saying? We found our way into a weird position that we never thought we'd find ourselves in.
Hey, man, a lot of hard work. Thank you for coming on,
Yeah,
man.
no sweat.